Assalamu alaikum. Peace is Coach Nyla.
And it's Coach Fatimah.
And we are co-wives, co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as co-authors of the book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. Bam. And we are excited because one amazing sister is joining us in our Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. Let's Talk Polygyny, with the wives in polygyny, none other than Mecca Nandi, the co-wife coach. So we are so excited to have her joining us in this candid conversation, because we have someone in our midst that's been doing it almost twice as long as we have. So we are looking to hear some great information, and I'm sure she's going to drop some wonderful gems in this conversation. So let's get to it in a minute. Stay tuned. All right, so here we are.
I'm so excited.
Mecca, co-wife coach.
Welcome.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be sitting and speaking with you two beautiful sisters. Seriously.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So, yes. Okay, so this is our candid conversations. You know, we do a number of videos, and we talk a lot about polygamy, of course, polygyny, things like that, and co-wife cooperation, first wife challenges, as well as triumphs through polygyny, subsequent wives challenges and triumphs in polygyny, and things as far as that. But it's so amazing because people, our audience, they see us and they hear us, and they sometimes believe that, because there's not many people out there talking about the successes of it so much, that
we look staged.
That we look staged. that everybody's not like us, which we understand, and not understanding that it had been a journey, and those challenges along the way. But to have someone, that's why we wanted to invite you to talk as well, because you've done it longer, and your success is amazing, to the point, and we'll get into it a little later too, to the point where the in-laws, get along and talk and chat and kick it, So, that's an amazing feat, an amazing thing that,
it is.
to be able to do that, and especially even coming from, being people who were like, it might not be for me, but hey, I can respect if it's for you, type of thing. So, So let's talk about that. For one, how long have you been married?
Yeah, let's go there.
Girl, listen, by the Almighty, I should say, the grace of the Almighty, we just celebrated 26 years last month.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. And how many of those years have been in polygyny?
Almost 20, honey.
Really?
I told you I can't keep calculation of everybody else's. I know my numbers. So to be on the safe side, without me saying a wrong number, and then one of my co-wives say, you don't know how long? Listen, it's almost 20 years. That's the safe answer for me.
The math is mathing like it's supposed to. Math.
That's so beautiful, because
it is.
when it comes to us, it's like you and Coach Nazir 27 years, and polygyny for 12, over 12. So
where did the time go,
the time flies. So that 20 years, almost 20 years, I'm like, that sounds pretty dang on good. But what did it look like? How did that happen? How did that journey go for you? you know, as I would say initial wife, right?
Because like, how much time do you people have?
Grab my tissue, okay? So I had props the last time. I don't have no props with me today. But initially in the beginning, because you have to remember, I was in my early to mid 20s. And it was definitely a challenge. It was something that I supported in the beginning, but it's nothing like being in it. Once you're in it and once it's, are you marking set go time? Like it switches on like this whole emotional roller coaster that you never expected. Like it's almost like if you get on a ride at an amusement park and the ride looks really innocent until you go around the corner that you didn't see from the front of the ride, and it's all over the place.
Or it looked fun when you were watching it from the ground until you got up in it.
Exactly. So I definitely had my struggles. I definitely was not always the nicest. People don't believe that, but it is true. Now, yes, I am the.
They don't believe me.
Listen, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be very vulnerable at this moment. I was not the nicest, and there's been times where I obviously, during that time, and even now, I apologized. I had to apologize. Like, listen, I was adjusting. That was not who I am now. That girl right there, she was still young and learning about how to balance out those emotions. And on top of that, everybody, not just myself, but everybody was also adjusting to the change. So in the beginning, I was definitely, I was like my clients.
Which is understandable and it's okay. And that's what I want. You know, we want people to understand that. I love what you said when you said, hey, I apologized. And I said that, you know, I know that I wasn't the nicest person and I was adjusting. That's another thing too. Sometimes we get so scared of, you know, well, should I apologize or why should I apologize? I'm going through this. And then you have incoming wives is like, I feel so bad. I don't want to, you know, I did this type of thing. I made this, you know, uncomfortable, you know, type of thing. But to be able to say, you know what, hey, we were going through a transition. We were going through an adjustment period. We grew, you know, and we still growing. And that is so amazing. And we love, you know, letting our audiences look at that and know that it may not always be what we say, sunshine and roses, kittens and unicorns, or nothing like that. But if you know and you're striving for better, or you're working on bettering yourself and you're working on the personal development, you know, just be able to say, you know, I'm a human being and I went through some stuff and I can admit when, you know, I wasn't at my best, you know, and let's work on it. Because sometimes people also think that because you just said, okay, well, I wasn't at my best and I'm sorry, that everything is just going to smooth over like butter.
If only. If only. Well, that's what you're saying, Mecca, is so powerful. So talk to us a little bit more about how you came to this point. You were like, okay, I acted up. What was the where did you pivot at? You know, like I know where I did, but you know, it's nice to hear other people's stories that are doing this and living it.
Yeah.
And then it's not just like this idea, this concept. So I like for people to not just see us because they're like, you heifers like each other. We want to hear somebody else talk about polygyny, right? So
they think that we can't, like, as co-wives, like each other. That we can't be cool.
Impossible.
So
it's like pit bulls
even if you started kind of rocky, that, like, how do you come to terms to say, you know what, we can be cool, we can be good, and, you know, let's move forward, you know, and build.
What was it for you?
For the shift, as I call it, was I remember it like it was like an hour ago. So not yesterday, an hour ago. So I remember he had just left because it was not my night, and he was going to my co-wife, her home. And I remember sitting on the floor, folding clothes, and where I was sitting, there was a mirror. And obviously I had tears in my eyes. And I turned around and I looked at myself. And I had this thought, and it's like clear. I can literally still hear that thought right now. And the thought was, if it was meant for him to be there, he would be there. No one or no woman or anything can stop that. And if it is not meant for him to be there with you for this evening and that night, you cannot stop it. And I'm sorry, you can't stop him from leaving, and you can't hold him back. Because sometimes women, that go through those adjustment periods where they're not the nicest, they'll try to do little slick stuff, try to keep them to stay a little longer. Read between the lines, you know what I'm talking about. And you can't, if it's not meant for him to be there, if that time is not meant for you, you can't do anything to make it happen. And at that point, I was like, listen, focus on you. Focus on where you are emotionally. Focus on the things that you want to actually do. Because there was goals that I had. Like, pour back into you. That day was the shift mentally for me. Now, the emotional part, it was a gradual change. It wasn't like it just happened overnight. Right. When the mind makes up, when you make up your mind and when you have a certain mindset that is gearing towards something different, towards something better, your body and your actions will follow. Again, it may be gradual, it may be quicker, depending on what it is and who the person is and how much and how bad you want it. But it was definitely a gradual growth towards, that actual change. But that was the day. That was the shifting of my mindset and acceptance of, like, true acceptance of what I was actually in, as far as being in this polygynous family with this beautiful, handsome, loving, caring, polygynous man.
Yeah.
I had to hold something in there because, I love
I hear how you talk. You'd be like blushing and all of that.
We're going to have sisters out there. They're going to be like, how can I be down? Like a mug. And I get that. I love that you brought up the mirror, because I had said that before. Remember I said you got to look in the mirror, because I did something very similar. Look right in the mirror. And I remember the first training that we had to do, and I'm like, I gotta train. I don't want to train. I don't know how to train people. It was just taking the phone conversations and typing them and making them a training. And so I made I remember it was acrostic, but it was mirror, and each letter stood for something. But I picked it because I had to look in the mirror and go, this man is married and it ain't nothing you can do but take care of yourself. That's it, because everything else falls out of your hands. So it's good. It's about speaking to acceptance, and accepting the qadar of Allah, and when we fight it, see, we're not going to win. That's the funny part. You're not going to win. I don't care if you stand on your head, like grandma used to say. You stand on your head. You won't win. But the thing is, why does it have to be one winner, So it's like, do we want our family to win? Do we want ourselves to win? Do we want our husbands to win? Do we want this whole polygynous journey to be that of winning? That doesn't mean we're not met with that roller coaster yet and still, whether it's 30 years, whether it's 12 years, or whatever the case may be. But that's such a powerful message in a story, Mecca, because you have to look at yourself and look, this is your crap. This is what you're doing. But whatever you're doing is not going to change the facts. Yeah. It's just dealing in them facts.
Facts. Yes. Facts. Hashtag facts. That's the word of goodness. It's funny because I think about the different things, just even being an incoming wife. People are like, oh, nobody's trying to hear you because you don't go through nothing. But we're not talking about that now. One thing that's true. Is that you said something that hits so strong. You talked about, I had these goals, I had aspirations, I had stuff, and you said it took that looking in the mirror saying, you know what, hold on, did I lose me somewhere in here, so to speak. So tell us how important it is to still hold on to your identity, your individual identity, when even when you're shifting into marriage and having that marital identity too, but not losing yourself in that marital identity, where when your husband does what he's going to do, because he has his individual identity, that it doesn't destroy you, I guess, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't take away from your identity.
So that is something that's so funny, because I didn't learn about that until I was in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because I'm not in my 30s anymore.
Wait,
I go to the club, girl.
You're right.
But it really hit me as far as really tuning into me and not getting lost in the sauce of marriage, of motherhood, of, you know, just maintaining like a household, like, you know, because okay, so I was a stay-at-home mom that was homeschooling, so on and so forth. So that is, you know, I was CEO of home management. So that's definitely not an easy task.
No.
But at the same time, it was just like, what about what you want to do? Now, the funny thing is, coaching was not it wasn't something that was anywhere on my list. It wasn't one of the goals. I don't know if people know this, but I am an award-winning chef and an award-winning competing dairy-free ice cream maker. So that was when I was pursuing those particular goals and really doing great. But the whole coaching thing, I was doing it for so long. I was just helping people out. I didn't look at it as coaching.
Right.
You know, I was just helping somebody's wife need to talk. Okay, what's going on?
Right.
And it didn't dawn on me until my 30s. And I'm like, this could be a business. This could be like, it was becoming more and more prevalent. And I'll never forget, I was in Atlanta and I was inside the apartment. My kids and I, we were visiting family, and I had rented out this apartment, so on and so forth. And I remember going in the walk-in closet to literally record something that was placed on my spirit. And I recorded all these modules, and it was this training on the artistry of polygyny. And I remember emailing it to myself, and I sat on it for like 3 years, never did anything with it until someone actually came to me, someone that I actually worked with, because I catered their reception for their wedding, their walima. And she came to me about polygyny. How does she know about me and polygyny? Because she came to our home, and we were in a home that was very, very big. It was an estate, and her and her daughter toured the space, and she saw where I was staying. She saw where my co-wife was staying. One of my co-wives was staying. She saw the other space where my second co-wife was staying, and she was like, "Wow!" And seeing the children all together, and this, that, and the fourth, and the husband walking through the property, she was like, "This is amazing." But that was when I was catering her walima. Years later, she said, "Oh, listen, I've been looking for you because I wanted to know if you can help me, because I'm getting ready to, you know, enter a polygynous situation." And I said, "Okay, I got a course." She was like, "Great, let's start." That literally was my first client. And it was so funny because at that time, I started to feel like I was tuning more into myself and my purpose. And from that point on, it not only did it grow as far as just the business part, but I grew within myself as a person and identified a lot of unknown parts of me that I didn't know existed. So when you organically are just being you and allowing yourself to come into and being open to the process of whatever it is that the Almighty Creator has in store for you, and actually, like, don't be afraid of it, because it seems foreign. Just go with it. You will be surprised of what you discover. So my journey, as far as just me having my own identity, literally started at that point. It started, I would say, after like 10 years of being in polygyny, that I really saw my true identity, not as a co-wife coach, as a woman.
Yeah.
Who I was and what I have to offer, and what I have to offer, not necessarily to my clients, but to my family, to the marriage, to our children, to my community, and most importantly, to myself.
That's huge. Beautiful. It's so funny because women go, I think, through these different stages, and it does tend to happen 30s, 40s. It's almost like you start to know what you want and how to get there and things, and we become these unintentional heroes, right? So I was thinking about that. Who said that? I think it was Lauryn Hill. She was like, "You don't know me because I don't know me." And she said this when she was over 40. She said, "So how can you know me?" And I'm just, see, the thing is, what Allah does that's so interesting is he takes the people we love and then he uses them to unlock parts of us that we didn't even know we had. And I said, you know what? I said, I wouldn't have listened if it had to come through anyone else other than my husband at the time. I said, I wouldn't have been able to unlock that part because I wouldn't have allowed myself to be pushed so far by anybody else. See, Allah, he designs things. So with that, and being in polygyny for so long, I'm sure you were met with so many assumptions and so many misconceptions about speaking to who you are, who your husband is, who your family is. What are some of the assumptions that people had about you in polygyny specifically, or just about polygyny period? Like, we kind of, if you know, you know, but if for those sisters that are watching, or even some brothers that might be watching, what are some of the assumptions that they might be met with, would you say?
Oh, she must be younger. She must be younger. No children. More prettier. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Hold up. We're prettier. Like, wait.
Yes.
Have you seen me?
You know, and that's not so it's like either younger, something must be wrong with you, something must be wrong with your marriage. Oh, can you have children? You must not be able to have children. So many different things. And it's so funny because like so I'm in the middle. Out of the 3 co-wives, I'm not the youngest and I'm not the oldest. Meaning that I have a co-wife that's, when I say younger, we're talking like a few years younger than me. And then I have a co-wife that is a few years older than me. And so I'm like, that's not, no, try again. Like, what you know, and they're both beautiful women, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it takes away from my beauty. See, when people make those type of assumptions, they're really talking about their own insecurities. They're really talking about their own fears. They're really talking about their lack of understanding or education on the practice within itself. And it's okay, because I take all of those things and I'll show and prove you that you are so wrong. And I'll do it so gracefully. So nice. I might even have you laugh and chuckle. Be like, well, you wrong. No. But those assumptions are normally like the top. Those are like at the top. And I heard y'all say, because I'm quite sure that y'all heard the same thing too.
Absolutely. So ridiculous. Or are you sick?
Yeah.
That part.
Dying. Somebody gotta die because I'm married again. That's the one. Are you sick? Are you divorced? You know, it's just so many different things. So I think you spoke about how you kind of made it through that. Is just kind of getting people together and keeping it moving. Because it's a them thing, you know, because maybe they wouldn't have the confidence, and I always like to say yet, but don't throw that on us.
Like, I can help you work through that, but no, that's not my story. That sounds like your story that you're trying to throw on me. Yeah, and I'm not receiving it. I'm not catching that. I'm gonna throw it right back. Like, no
I love it. Has it always been that way for you? Like that you didn't allow that to, infect you, we talk about minding your marriage a lot, where it's like not even just minding your marriage between, the co-wives or anything like that, but also minding your marriage when it comes to people from the outside trying to project and throw shade or do whatever the heck they try to do. Was that always a thing where it was like, no, I stand on this. Yes. You can't knock me. I'm good.
Absolutely. Because even regardless of whatever my insecurities are, I'm not going to allow you to add to the equations. I'm not. I'm like, I already got my own stuff to deal with. I can't deal with yours and mine. Like, no, thank you. So, because me not accepting it or me always trying to block that doesn't necessarily mean that I was insecurity free, because that's not the case. It's just that those with the things that they put on me or they try to throw my way, that just wasn't my thing. Now, if you threw the right thing around, to me, I might have caught it. I might be like, you know what? I may have caught it. Because another thing too is I don't like too many people being in my business, because it's my business. Unless I'm talking to you as a coach or as a counselor. But outside of that, people, they will try, because I'll put it to you this way. There has been a few people that in the beginning, especially in the very beginning, where they try to, oh, are you okay? Are you all right? I know you're dealing with, and I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine, because I'm not going to give you the leeway for you to pour, whatever it is that you got going on, or cause more fitna that I'm dealing with myself. So it's like, unless I know you're truly, sincerely, and genuinely coming to help, or really looking and seeking out, opposed to trying to chip away to kind of mind my business. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm good. But people have to be careful of that, because sometimes everybody that's coming to check in on you, they're not really coming to check in on you. They're just checking on you to see where you at and to see if you share any of the things that they may actually have going on. So that way y'all both can bounce that energy back and forth. But if you know that you're bouncing that same energy back and forth, it doesn't leave any room for improvement. You just kind of like leaning on each other. Y'all both on crutches, leaning on each other. Y'all can't help each other out. Somebody gonna fall. Somebody's gonna lose balance and fall. And then the person that didn't fall, guess what they're gonna do? They might help you up. But what they're not gonna do is they're not gonna try to fall with you. They're like, oh, wow.
Oh, she fell.
Yeah, get up. No.
So that's heavy. Man, that's heavy. That's powerful stuff, because that's the thing. I know people sometimes, even when we talk about the good, that's why I love that you talk about the good and you talk about that this is what it can look like. Because when people see that we talk about the good, they're like, well, you're just saying that, it's got to be all nice and you don't go through challenges. No, we're not saying that you don't go through challenges. We're just saying that it can be good. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't all bad. Dang.
So I really like that. So my thing is that when I know that being a co-wife coach, as private as we want to be, but being out there, being a coach, being out there creating programs, you have retreats that you do, things like that. How was the transition of saying, okay, I'm going to go from being very private about, my life, my marriage, my, this polygynous lifestyle, and kind of be in the public eye now, of helping people, but also putting my life out there?
Pardon the interruption. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that you could thrive better in the community that's more supportive? Now, I already know the answer to that. But did you know that Outstanding Personal Relationships actually has a community that is supportive and where we really hang out a lot? It has a number of areas and things like, for example, I deal with the men in the Kings and Men section, where we discuss a number of different men issues, whether it's polygyny related, parenting related, whatever it may be. This is where we communicate and connect.
And as an introvert, I love the idea of an online community. So we have that. And to be able to speak with like-minded people, speak with other wives, wives, whether you're incoming wife, whether you're a first wife, you're a wife, period, in general, you only practicing monogamy, whatever the case may be, to be able to be in a community with people who understand what you're going through, understand any type of issues you have, and also being in a place where you have support from others, where it's not all over social media for everybody else to see.
Yes, and it is a safe space. So if you guys want to see us, or if you want to connect with us, come to our community.
Indeed. And like they said, it's private. All right. So you don't have to worry about your stuff being all over the place or all on social media, trying to find the comments and go scroll. We have the subjects. We have all this type of stuff. Just go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com. Look on the top of the page. Click on community. We look forward to seeing you there. Back to the video.